Hello, my name's Duncan, and welcome to Back Away from Donkey and Bath Books. And it's been a wee while because I've just had a bit of a break, a little bit of a break from my brain. Because, like Dr. Heffer, I've got a screw top head, and I take the brain out, wash it through, dry it a bit, give it a bit of rest. So I've not done anything about two and a half weeks, and it's just been a nice break. I've not really been on BookTube or YouTube much, and just enabled me just to revitalise myself and just feel a little better. So it's just a little bit of brain care it was. So yeah, so I'm going to start off this video. I've got a bit of a hauly pick-uppy thingy going on, and also a bit of an update which I'm giving you now. I've got what's enabled me to do is just sort of think about what I'm going to be doing over the next few months, and sort of not overly plan my reading because I like to be quite spontaneous, and just some of the videos I'd quite like to make and stuff I'd like to talk about. So it's been quite nice to do that, sort of reassess myself. I think I've got a podcast coming up. I've got to speak to Gavin about that. Find something set date to do a recording, which I need to drop him a line, and that's I'm going to continue doing those, and just some other bits. I'm probably not going to do any more events. I'm sort of doing some books for Book Trek, which I like because it goes over the summer. And was there something else? And I've got some books that I read for June on the Range, and some other bits that I'm going to do some talking on what I read last month, bits like that. But is it just me, or do I think, am I the only one who thinks there's too many events? I know people love events, and that's fine, but it's just like just before I took my break, Private Eye July or whatever they're calling it suddenly appeared, and I thought, and sadly all I thought was, oh god, not another event. And I think it's because we all want to take part in all of them. And then obviously Garb August has suddenly appeared, and then there's Steinbeck thing and Faulkner Friday or whatever. There's lots and lots of them, and I think sometimes there's too many of them flying around, so people get so overwhelmed that they don't know what to do. But yeah, it's just a bit of an opinion. But I've decided that that's probably I said I'll finish off and continue to do some Book Trek stuff, and that's probably all I'm going to sort of officially take part in, unless anything specifically sort of leaps at me, because I sometimes find that the pressure I put on myself with these events doesn't help me. I've got a buddy read or two coming up over the next few months as well, which I'm really quite excited about. And obviously my Arthur C. Clarke stuff that's going to continue, and all my normal sort of stuff. But yeah, it's just and I hope you've been having a good summer. It's been quite warm up here for the past sort of couple of weeks. Next week we've got the Island Games happening, so our place is going to be full of people and idiots and stuff, so that's not good. But I have picked up a few books, done quite a bit of reading. I'm going to do a video probably in the next day or two, which will be sort of roundup of my basic reading for what was last month, which was June. So there's some westerns there, some sort of offshoot westerns there, and some other bits. And I've got some reviews of books. I've got Book Trek book to talk about, and some other stuff. And I've got some stuff planned. But I'm just going to try and take some of the pressure on myself. Like most people, I put pressure on myself to do stuff, and I'm here for fun. I'm here to, the fact that a couple of you watch this that's all I'm happy about, and people talk to me, that's fine. But remember, you can always, if you really want to talk to me, I've got my blog, and obviously my Discord, and all links are down below. I have put a couple of reviews up recently on my blog, I think, and obviously my Goodreads is there, as well as Storygraph and library thing, which I'm doing my experiment on, which I'm still considering doing. But yeah, all my normal stuff there. But anyway, you're just here to see what books I picked up, aren't you, really? That's the only reason you're here for. So I am going to start with, I picked up, you have to remember I have to do most of this by mail because we haven't really got any second-hand bookshops here. I've got a couple of anthologies. I believe that sort of late 60s and the 70s were the best time for science fiction anthologies. Because they did lots of them, and you could pick them up in mass market paperbacks really cheaply, and they gave people a really good rounding of sort of good science fiction. So this is just Harry Harrison and Brian Aldiss seem to do loads of them for some reason. So I've got Nova 2 and Nova 4, both edited by Harry Harrison, the wonderful Harry Harrison, and you'll hear more about him later. And they did 4 of these in total. I want 1 and 3, but I can't find them at the moment. I do like, that cover's my favourite. I don't know who did this cover because they've not listed it. I can probably find out online. But these are actually produced in hardback as well. So the short stories in here, and these were actually written specifically, I think, for this collections. We've got some. Oop. Let me put that down there a second. And they've got that really old book sale. So obviously Brian Aldiss always did. Some Barry Malzberg, Robert Sheckley, Bill Garnett. Some more obscure ones that I'm quite interested in, like Edward Wellen, Richard Brearley, Alfred Bester. There's a song there. There's a Naomi Mitchison short story which I'm really interested in, because Diary of a Space Woman is a very underrated novel that came out way before Ursula Le Guin, and was everybody says hers, Ursula Le Guin was like the first sort of feminist science fiction writer. Naomi Mitchison is quite interesting, and she produced Diary of a Space Woman 5 or 6 years before a lot of Le Guin stuff. And so that is in 4. In 3 we have, I might do a video on some, because I've got quite a lot of these little sort of paper apologies. I'm man looking for things. Oh yeah, Frank Robinson, Philip Jose Farmer, Robert Silverberg, and then we've got another Naomi Mitchison, and John Sladek, Paul Anderson, James Tiptree Jr., which was Alice Sheldon, wasn't it? So yeah, so I've got both of those. And I said these nice mass market paperback ones, and they did lots and lots of sort of little anthologies. And even though you get anthologies now, they all seem to be quite expensive. I've got some recently for certain specific things that I'm aiming to do over the next few months, but they're not cheap, I don't think, anyway. Anyway, another one I picked up. This actually I got in Red Cross local charity, was A Burning Land, which is Bernard Cornwell, part of the Saxon series. This is book 5. Okay, what annoys me about these books is they never put in them anywhere what book number in the series it is. This hasn't even got a list of the former books, I don't think. Because now I have, I'll show you, that's book 1. These are the ones I've had before, okay? Book 1, book 2. I'm trying to pick them up. And then I've got book 5, which is my new one. And then I've picked up locally, over the past few years, this is 10, 11, and 12. I'm going to probably end up having to start reading them before I find the complete set of them. But they never put, I don't think this one got the list of the, they don't seem to put, you could say this is a series, this is in order. But yeah, they don't seem to do it. So yeah, that's my annoyance with Bernard Cornwell books. So yes, so I got the Burning Land, so I've got now book 5, so I've got book 1, 2, and 5. So if I get 3 and 4, then I've got a nice run of them. But we will see. Now this one, so I picked up, it's going to be part of my Arthur C. Clarke, Make Me Love Arthur C. Clarke, which I might have to rename now to. I quite like Arthur C. Clarke, so I'm reading some. I might just rename it to the Arthur C. Clarke Project. But anyway, I've got Earthlight, which is the first of these Golden Age Masterworks I've ever had. And I actually really quite like the design. I love the spine design for some reason. Probably prefer them to the modern Masterworks ones, because I like the original Masterworks ones design-wise, cover-wise, but I'm not as keen on the new ones. But yeah, it's nice, and actually it looks like it's printed on better paper than the normal Masterworks. So yeah, so that's Earthlight. Don't know much about that one. I've got the Thing of the Grand Banks is another one I've got to read, but I need to start another Arthur C. Clarke one soon, which I will probably do in the next one. And then I'm going to do this one. This next book, I've been after this for years. This is a bibliography of Harry Harrison work. Okay. and it is fantastic. It's got a bibliography of all his work, all his short stories, everything like that, and also it's annotated, so you've got lots of information with it as well. This was done in 2001. Harry Harrison died in 2006, so there is not much missing from this, which is really, really good. And it's got some really nice little bits of information that you don't know, and I love Harry Harrison. And also it's got a story that was originally going to go into Harlan Ellison's Final Dangerous Visions, but then there was all the kerfuffle about that, and Harlan Ellison faffed and did stuff, and it was then withdrawn. And it is actually in here. It's a dog and his boy that he'd written for it. So I haven't read it yet, and I'm going to read that. It's only short. It's only really, really short, and I'm probably going to read that very soon. So it's really quite interesting. So if you're interested in Harry Harrison's work, and he does more than just satire. His serious stuff is really, really good. His alternate universe stuff is really good. If you've not read West of Eden, that's fantastic. Stars and Stripes trilogy is one I've not read. It might be more than a trilogy, which I really want to get onto. But I've always liked his writing, so I really, really to get hold of that. It's really, really good. It's a shame they didn't do it in hardback. So yeah, that's one. And then the final ones I've got here, I've got, after the great book purge of the late 1990s, God rest their souls, some of the stuff I got rid of was, annoyingly, I was a prat, was Philip K. Dick did some non-science fiction books, and some of those weren't published until after his death. So in 1986, they released about 4 or 5 of them on the imprint of Paladin, which was part of Grafton Books, which I think got absorbed by somebody else, as all these publishing houses do, and had some really interesting covers. And these books have been reissued since by other publishers, but I wanted them with the covers that I had when I bought them when they were first editions, and I've been slowly picking them up. So for ages there's 5 of them, I think. 5 of his non-science fiction ones were published under Paladin, and the first one I have is in Milton Lumpkin territory, which is one that I've had for a long time. And then recently, in the past few weeks, I managed to find Humpty Dumpty in Oakland, which is really good. You see the cover. I really like the covers. I really just like the design of them. And Puttering Around in a Small World, Small Land, which is a book that I remember being really, really good, so I want to reread this. And the other 2 in there is The Man Whose Teeth Were All Exactly Alike, and one more, the Bounce Land, or whatever's Bounce or something like that. It's the final one that was released under Paladin. So I've got 3 of them. I can't believe I got rid of them, but I just like these covers. They're sort of quite abstract, but they feel sort of appropriate. I've seen the modern covers on some of his things like Diary of... Because some of his... He only released a few non-science fiction ones, and a lot of them, I think, if I remember rightly, Puttering Around in Small Land was released around the time of some of his most productive science fiction ones, like The Man in High Castle, and they just wouldn't publish it. But he did release other stuff that wasn't science fiction. Diary of a Crap Artist got released when he was alive, but most of it sort of didn't. So there's quite a sort of vein of, I think, about 8 or 9 books in total, but 5 of them under the Paladin ones. I really want the other 2, which I will probably get at some point. It's just trying to find them because they're really quite rare on the ground. In fact, I found those ones. I almost forgot this. So I just stood up and went off and realised I'd forgotten about this other one I picked up locally. I found, if you're a British person of a certain age, you will remember Octopus Books. I've got a couple of them, but you used to get these collections of stories that were just bound up. And Octopus Books, I think they now still exist, but I think they've been taken over by Hatchet Part Works, and they basically do non-fiction. But I have previously had a collection of theirs, which I remember getting one. remember getting one for Christmas, but locally, really, I just found Chamber of Horrors, which is a bunch of, obviously, horror, speculative fiction-y type stuff, short stories, and this is Noctopus Books, and it's got the imprint of Treasure Press, which some of them have, anyway. But you don't know who's put these sort of anthologies together, because they don't say. But this one's got some really interesting stories. It's got some stuff I've got in other places, you know, stuff like some H.G. Wells and some Lovecraft. But it's got things like, it's got a Rod Serling story, a thing about machines, Royal Dahl, Royal Jelly, which I actually remember the episode of Tales of the Unexpected about that one. M.R. James, I've never really read any M.R. James. Some William Hope Hodgson in here that I didn't know about. So I'll show you, see if you can see that. That is a sort of listing on that one. But yes, I did these collections. I've got another one I picked up a few years back, which is Space Odyssey. And that actually is a Chris Moore painting on the front. Chris Moore was a great, I think he's still alive, really good artist. And this one had in just some normal stuff. They always had these illustrations, like that's got that illustration in. So if anybody else has got any of these, if there are other ones, I don't know. So this one that I picked up the other week has got that illustration of a sort of corpse there, all the way through for each story. So they put them together with some care, but I just got no idea who the editor was who put these together. The science fiction one I picked up, I'd like to find the information, find out if there was like a series of these or something. It's got, you can see the listings there. But what it is Harrison Bergamon, obviously Kurt Vonnegut, Roger Lasney one, John Campbell one, some H.G. Wells, J.G. Ballard, Frederick Pohl, Robert Heinlein, some Bradbury, Ursula Le Guin, Michael Scott Rowan, who's a really interesting author that you don't hear much about nowadays, Robert Sheckley, Rachel Pollock, who I don't know, and Carter Schultz, and Philip K. Dick, actually, Electric Ant. It's got Arena in here from Frederick Baum, which seems to be everywhere. But yeah. So yes, so I've got the horror one now. So I've got both of these now. Quite interesting. But I need to do some... I tried to do some vague research online the other day, and I couldn't find much about them. But I'm wondering if there's a series of these. But yeah, they're all marked under Treasure Press. But they were actually published by Octopus Books. So yeah, if anybody else got any of these, I'll be intrigued to know. So yeah, that's about it for the moment. I said I'm going to have some updates for my past month, and what I've been reading, what I am reading, and what I'm doing, and some separate reviews and some bits on Tune on the Range. And I said, event-wise, I'm probably not going to be doing much that I plan to. I really plan to, and I'm just going to be probably long. And I said, communication, if you want to, grab hold of me. And I look forward to actually, because I've missed people's videos, and I missed some drama that went on apparently, and other stuff. So I'm going to have a look around and see how people have been doing. And I look forward to watching them all. Oh, the other thing I did do the Steinbeck thing. And I read, I'll do more about it later. I read, not East of Eden, the other one. Anyway, I'll talk about it, but just to say that I'll probably get lynched by Steinbeck people. Anyway, I will speak to you all very, very soon. And it's nice to be back. Well, I think it is. Anyway, and I said bye for now.